What's up, Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK013. And I am joined once again by the triple OG. Not one, not two, but three of the Wise Take Nation. Patio Joe. You can find him on Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. Enjoy, my man. You gotta know you got a busy weekend coming up, so trying to get your DFS in early on the early grind. Balancing life, the family, the kids, everything. Joey does what Joey does. Joey's all about balance. That's what Joey's about. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Today I was looking back at my feeds. Today was exactly 2 years from the day that me and the man, the GOAT, Mr. Pauly D, did our first podcast together.
Right? Is this your podiversary? Is it?
For me and Pauly. We started
for you and Pauly. Yeah.
For me and Pauly. Yeah, it was our. We did that today. It was 2 years. So me and Pauly are on
how about one. That? So, congratulations, Pauly. Congratulations, Joe. You're
made it 20 podcast 2 years.
Duo. I can tell you that definitely.
The two Dagos.
Yes, the OGs right there. The OG, the triples, squad up. That's awesome, man.
That's right. We were doing it every night back in the day.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, man. The grind. I mean, the grind is still real, but it was really real during that point. It's cool to see how far we've come, in that short amount of time. And hopefully we continue. And I think it will. We keep having nights like this, Joey. The nation has just been on fire, man. Pauly D just spitting fire. I should be doing well. Should be another common night for me. Madison Bumgarner getting the win is going to cost me a good amount of money. I was high on him. Like, our top three pitchers today were like Bumgarner, Jesse Chavez, and Cortez. And it's just really the nuts in terms of point per dollar. And unfortunately, my best team, which won me a good amount of money right now, did not have Bumgarner. And so when he gets that win, I'm going to get past one spot, and that's going to sting a little bit. Luckily, I have Mad Bum on my second best team, so I'll get a little boost there. But it's not going to be enough to justify the fall I'm going to get from that one placement. You following? So, hoping and praying at this point. And we don't like hoping and praying. We like sure things.
Yeah, I mean, in DFS, unless you go with like one lineup, it's kind of hard to have like a perfect night because usually you're alwame hedging on the other side. It's
like there was a situation where like Paulie had asked, because our me and Paulie's like number 1 and 2 stacks were the Padres and Yankees, and so there's a point where like the Yankees, like Chapman's in and he gave up a run. It's 4-3 in the ninth, right? And we have Cortez, mind you, so that win, like we want that win, but we also have Yankees, and like there's a possibility the Yankees may get more bats, and so like. We have Padres coming at the top of the ninth. Paulie's like, what would you like? Is there any world where we want Cortez to not get the win here? And it's like, give me a second. Let's see what happens in the Padres top of the ninth. You know what I mean? Before I make my decision. But like, that's the kind of night it was when you're on. But it's still kind of like you said, like you're kind of like hedged here and there, and you're just like, it's a good situation. It's a good problem to have. But at the same time, it's like the sweat is real, And then on top of that, when you're on so many of the early stuff, and then you just get nothing but like games and games on a 15-game slate after that, you're gonna have to sweat. It's just like it's the worst, because no matter how high you get, you're coming down at some level. It's just a matter of how far you drop, and that's just a terrifying sweat, man. It's brutal. I mean, we have to play whoever like is good. That's what we do. It's our job. But at the same time, I like it. Like it always works. Like in the NBA, for instance, it usually works out to where I like a lot of the West Coast teams, so I end up on the late stuff anyway, and that's so much more of a better sweat. Like if you're just like climbing uphill the whole time, it's more like positive, and you're going up. It's so much better than like blowing your load in the beginning, going to the top, and then slowly coming down. It's just like watching and like rooting for unders across the industry. Just like, yeah, I want all these games, all 14 of these other games to go under the total. Like,
It's like getting the happy ending at the beginning,
right, and then having to sit there and endure it when it's like all sensitive and stuff, and it's like
you're
just like,
oh,
I don't want you to touch me right now, like, you know what I mean? Something like
you
that.
get a cigarette.
Oh shit! We should probably talk about this slate before we before we start talking about things we got no business talking about.
Keeps going off the
There we
rails.
go. We do have an early slate tomorrow. I'll be writing an article for the early slate for those that subscribe to wisestake.com. So check it out. We're gonna stay hot. We're gonna keep doing that dirty. It's been a really good month so far, the month of June for the Wise Take Nation. But anyway, we're going to talk about the main slate, which is the night slate. 9 games. It's not bad. 9's a pretty good number, solid size. We have options. It's not like too many options, but we have options. Joey, cash games as we always do to start. SP1s. What do you think?
We got a 9-game slate, 2 more than 7. Yep. And it's one thing, like the last game of the night starts at 8:10 Eastern time, 5:10 Pacific. So you'll have that early sweat, like you were talking about, CK. Like you don't have to wait until late at night, and it's like the last game starts at 8 o'clock. That's kind of good on the East Coast. Tomorrow, like this slate tomorrow is just, when we live in a world where Mike Minor is the highest price pitcher on FanDuel. That shows you where we're at in cash in baseball today, or this slate. For me, there are 3 options that you're going to be considering in cash tomorrow. It's either Mike Minor, Patrick Corbin, or Matt Boyd. Corbin's going against the Marlins, who we know has a weak lineup. They do hit lefties a tad bit better than they hit righties. And then the other 2 are basically it's pick what you prefer, because they're both facing the Rangers and the Tigers. Strike out the most against left-handed pitching. They've strike out the most in the last 14 days. They strike out the most in the last 30 days, those 2 teams. So on FanDuel, when you're looking for strikeouts and that being what is most important, I think you're going to want to go with either Boyd or Minor. I would right now. It's tough. Like I just don't know who I would lean to. I would probably go with Boyd just because he's a little bit cheaper on FanDuel. He is 9.4. Minor is 10.1. So it's a little bit less. He's also at home. But Minor is pitching against a weaker lineup, in my opinion. I fear the Rangers lineup a lot more than I fear the Tigers lineup. So it's basically what you decide you want. I'd probably go with Boyd at first look, or pivot to Corbin and then throw Minor probably in the GPP pool. That's what I'd probably do right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think there are tough decisions. You can make a strong case for literally all 3 of those guys. I mean, the Rangers, like you said, they've been struggling. They did get Joey Gallo back, who has been one of the better hitters against lefties despite being left-handed. However, he's also a high strikeout kind of guy. And the Tigers have been like one of the nut worst. I mean, we were huge on Jesse Chavez. Is that a guy that you want to go like heavy on? Usually never, almost never. But that's how bad the Tigers have been. You got to figure maybe a little better against lefties because of how many righties they have. But I mean, yeah, you can kind of take your pick. I think in cash, I'm with you though. I think Corbin seems like the safest bet. Coming off a good game, and even in the games prior, before his price dropped, like he wasn't really pitching terrible. He wasn't getting like destroyed. He was getting BABIP'd, and he was just getting unlucky. And that lasts for a few starts. We're seeing Blake Snell go through it right now, where like he's not pitching terrible. He's just kind of getting like BABIP'd a little bit. The Yankees did tattoo him a little bit, but with the Twins game today, he didn't pitch as bad as his box score indicated. There's a lot of singles and that kind of stuff. So I think that Corbin, maybe it's time to come out of that and go back to being a really good pitcher, because I do think he's a really good pitcher. And Miami has been pesky, but this is the time to pick on them. They went hot for a little while. They were pesky all year, then they went hot, but they've been really, really cold lately. Like really lately. You saw what Scherzer did to him today. So I think I feel safest with Corbin. What about SP2s, Joe, for cash?
Yeah, last little note on Corbin. Last start against Miami, May 25th, 9 innings, 4 hits. No earned runs, 5 strikeouts, put up a 52. So it shows you right there he pitched well, but he didn't get tons of strikeouts. So you hope that he goes a long distance to get you that value. SP2 options. Oh boy, it is rough. I mean, it is rough. I mean, it is tough right now. I mean, First look, you would say we were talking about it. We might go somebody like Framber Valdez, but we know that these Pirates have been crushing lefties the last month or so. I mean, absolutely, their ISO is like over 200 against lefties the last like 3 weeks or something. Like Paulie texted me that the other day, and they were going up against Lauer, I think it was in at home, and it was that game on Friday night, and Pittsburgh actually did pretty well. And then the other guy, maybe Zach Gallen, the rookie going at home, first start at home against Washington. You're not really expecting much, but you're just hoping for 5 or 6 innings, maybe a QS. You'd be good with that. Other than that, Wade LeBlanc, I might look at just because of a matchup based, or maybe a Daniel Megden because St. Louis has been so cold lately. But there's nobody that really makes me like, okay, he's our lockdown SP2 option tomorrow, strictly because there's nobody in really that good of a matchup.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think Framber feels like he could gain traction, and I don't hate it. I know the Pirates have been a lot better against lefties, and we'll want to see if Brian Reynolds, he was scratched today. We'll want to see if he makes the lineup or not. But I think he's a possibility, especially when you consider that Houston should be a decent-sized favorite in this game. The line's not out, but I would imagine they're going to be favored pretty heavily against Dario Agrizell making his MLB debut. Wasn't a terrible pitcher, but wasn't like necessarily great. And he's going to see a pretty good offense who's getting healthier with Altuve back, Springer back. Alvarez has been on a tear. So I think that Framber is where I'd lean now. But I agree with you that I don't feel good about it. And that could shift. There are other people, in cash. Like, I almost want to say let's just go Zach Gallen. I mean, the Nationals are pretty right-handed heavy. We'll see what lineup they give. They have lefties, but they don't often use some of those other ones, so we'll see. Maybe only 3. It's Miami. It's a good park for pitching. He's 7-1. He's supposed to be a really good pitcher, and the problem is the Nationals have actually been playing well lately. That's like the issue. They've been terrible all season, and they're finally starting to play well, so because they're healthy. So it's between those two. Maybe like as I talk about it, I shift. I think I'm on Gallen instead. I think I'd rather go Gallen. Right, yeah. I think Framber's been kind of overperforming a little bit, and the Pirates, they really have been good against lefties. Let's go Gallen, Joey. We'll just do that. What about for tournaments, man? Does it look differently? Like people stand out differently or no?
Yeah, a little bit. I think you got to look at like I said, Minor. If you're gonna not go with him in cash, maybe go with him in tournaments. And then you got to look at guys like Charlie Morton and Jake Odorizzi. Odorizzi probably the one that might stand out the most. It's frankly because the Rays have just been so cold lately. I mean, even tonight they still didn't really put up that much. I know they came back a little bit, but it wasn't that much Gibson at all.
Was dealing on them for a little while there.
Yeah. And then the Twins on the other side, they've been cold, but then they kind of woke up tonight. So I think both pitchers are very GPP-esque. And kind of like, proceed with caution in so many ways. But that's it. I mean, it's a 9-game slate. There's not too many other pitchers up at top that you would want to pivot to, but Morton and Odorizzi probably would be the 2 pivots up top that I would look at.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Even looking at the Boyd Minor pivots, like, it's just not that solid. I would imagine Corbin's ownership is going to be pretty high, and for good reason. He does feel like the safest. You kind of get the feeling that one of these other guys is going to beat him, like, ceiling-wise. Like, maybe Corbin doesn't ceiling. Maybe he gets like a 25, which is a good game on DraftKings, but maybe like, one of those Minor Boyd guys goes for like 30-something on DraftKings, which would be like, 40-something compared to a 50 or 60 on FanDuel. So, Griffin Canning, if he does pitch, I'm not sure if I think he's supposed to pitch. If he does pitch, kind of interesting against the Reds, out in this ballpark. The Reds have been pesky, but they can strike out. And depending on what lineup we see, we'll see how many lefties they throw out there. You would think 4, but maybe. On the other hand, Canning's actually been very home run prone. He gets strikeouts, but he's home run prone, so maybe not. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Gallen. I think that's the only thing I got right now. I agree with you on Odorizzi because of how cold the Rays have been. But Gallen is the only thing. I tell you what, man. Morton, we shouldn't ignore Morton. Like, we got to check the umpire in that game, first of all. And second of all, like Kepler's got a Q tag. Like we've seen Minnesota do some weird things with their lineup, right? So like we got to be on the lookout for that. If they decide to rest somebody, or they just decide, you know what, we're just going to play an extra righty in this or something. But I have to keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is something. He could gain some traction, especially in GBPs, just because people might want to stay away. Let's see. They have. Let's see. Tomorrow's the 26th. They play a night game, then they come right back into a day game the next day against the Rays. So I don't know if that really is going to mean much or anything. Right. So they might rest. Somewhat of a different
they may rest like some of the guys because they want to give the other guys days off tomorrow. Like they may do something like that. It's possible. It's a good point, Joe.
Depending on who's pitching the next day for the Rays, I guess you would.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Yeah, if you got like a lefty tomorrow or something like that. Which with the Rays, you never really know who it's going to be until. I mean, you could usually figure it out, but you know, we'll see.
What about so here's another option, and I know it says. What about Wainwright?
Hell no, there's no way I could play Wainwright. I like the last spot, but like I don't know, man. Like maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but because I just don't like picking on Oakland unless I really really have to. You know what I mean? I just don't like picking on Oakland. Like maybe you know what I mean. Like it kind of from a game theory perspective, I kind of get it, but like it's been really warm and humid in St. Louis, like really warm and humid. And Wainwright is a guy that like needs a strikeout-friendly team in order to strike guys out, and the A's are just not that, man. They just put so many balls in play. I don't think so. I still like. I'm gonna pay $7K for Wainwright against the A's. I think I'd still rather pay 7-1 for Gallen against the Nationals in Miami. You know what I'm saying? If they close that roof, it looks like it's gonna be pretty hot and humid in Miami. But either way, big part. Drop Sam's on him. You know. Let's go to the bats, Joe. What bats stand out to you the most, man? Like, what are the teams that are just like America? You know the rest.
America. Fuck yeah. Right now, I think it is the Philadelphia Phillies taking out their big 8Ds and dropping 7s with their teabagging it on your boy Jason Vargas. That's what I think. That's what I think.
You just came at me hard with that, man.
I know.
You just came.
I using the puns and everything.
You threw everything at me on that one, man. You just went into the wise take like tool shed, just threw them all at me at once. That was good. Keep going.
But yeah, I just think, Vargas just, profiles like they profile great against them. So like, Kingery leading off. I mean, he's 3,400 on FanDuel. His price is great. Hoskins, Segura, it's great. And throw in. I play Harper. I don't really ever play him that much, but you play Harper in that stack. If you want to skip Harper and go to Real Muto, that'd be fine. On Monday, I cashed with that Philly stack. I had a Maikel Franco with Segura and Kingery. That paid off really well with Hoskins. So, and another thing is if you get into the bullpen, the Mets bullpen has been like the worst in the month of June. So that's what I think. It's just, to me, I think that's who stands out at first. That's like the other teams. I think, maybe Houston, depending on who they, Pittsburgh's going to throw this guy Dario Agrazai. I'll take a good offense against him. That's. Oh, and then I'm also not opposed to going back to the well in Chicago with both of those teams, the Braves and the Cubs, because I think that people will stay away now because the wind isn't blowing out. They have two better pitchers supposedly, but there's not very many other like great spots.
Dude, I think I'm with you, man. Like, so Philly looks great on paper. They're gonna be the chalk. And say what you want about Jason Vargas, but he, for the most part, is trolled.
He will troll us. Yeah, he will troll us tomorrow. I guarantee.
Absolutely. And so like the Phillies are hot. Like Paulie has identified like a little while ago that they were like gonna go on a tear, and like they've been doing it. Both teams actually in this game, and I think like even in this game alone, I think I'd rather take the Mets. Pavetta has struggled against lefties. The Mets have, they could have up to 4 lefties in there. And Philly's got one of the worst. Like, Philly is literally the nut worst in power. ISO against lefties. Their bullpen. Like so it just gets better. So just because I looking on paper, sure, I love Philly too, but like knowing they're gonna be that popular makes me like, okay, so I like Philly, but I need to find some other offenses too. Maybe the Mets on the other side of that game, who are projected for almost 5 runs themselves. And then I think you hit it on the head, Joe. I think the Cubs game is very interesting. Particularly, really both sides, like you said, but particularly the Cubs side to me, because Keuchel, I think he got hit around in that first game.
He did a little bit. He started out great, and then I think in like fourth or fifth
he just kind of lost it, right?
Yeah,
it took him 99 pitches to get through 5. He had 3 Ks. This is against the Nationals. He gave up 8 hits and 1 home run. So I'm with you. Like, it's going to be like 80 degrees and humid in Chicago. So while we don't have like strong winds, it may be just a decent day in general for the ball to carry. So I think that's interesting. As great as the Phillies look, maybe it gets exposure to the Phillies in cash, and in tournaments pivot to teams like the Mets, the Braves, or the Cubs. I think that's an interesting approach. Any other offense?
The one last thing about the Phillies that kind of like, I get this feeling that Vargas could troll us and the Phillies could still go off.
True. Yeah. We've seen that a lot lately.
You know what I mean? So that's what kind of like, it kind of, I feel like you're going to have a Phillies stack on one of your teams, and then you can fade most of it. I like what you said about the Mets. I think that people will just go all of the Phillies and not even and kind of forget about the Mets. Probably the other team I would look at is obviously I said the Astros, but maybe the Angels against the Reds against Roark. I always feel like you can pick on him. I wouldn't feel like you'd go with like a full stack maybe, but maybe a 3-man on FanDuel. I deal with that, and then you got to think at some point the Brewers are going to break out again.
You would think.
And like they're gonna get hot again, and you got some guys like Braun at 3K, that had probably profiled great against LeBlanc. Aguiar hits lefties well, so I kind of like them too. So it's weird though. There's not abundance of good offensive spots. That's why I think the Phillies will popular. Be that much.
Yeah, they'll be extremely popular. Like, I completely agree with you. And that's worrisome. A team that was so cold, who has just started to get it going, is now going to be so popular because of the lack of hitting in spots everywhere else. So I agree. Right now, it seems very tough to fade Philly. But we'll have to see how things go tomorrow, see where some of these lines move, and at the end of the day, try to decide what makes more sense. I think that's going to do it for the slate breakdown. At this point, going to remind everybody, if you haven't checked us out at ysake.com, make sure you get over there, join the nation, come see what it is we do. We are on a hot streak from the heavens, and you do not want to miss this. So come get it. Come get it now. $2.50, all it costs for a day pass. You'll get access for 1 full day of MLB content. It's the Y Stream articles, everything. We're here to help make you a better DFS player. Come do it. We're all hot. Come get some. Yum yum. All that stuff. Joe,
let me talk about one more offense. One more offense.
What you got, bro?
Okay. The Pirates.
Okay.
We said how good they were against lefties.
They have been better,
how good they've been against lefties. Let's say they roll out that lineup with Reynolds and Marte and Bell and Melky Cabrera. We know hits lefties well. Right. Like, I think that will be that could be our, kind of like hedge. You know what I mean? Because we think Framber might get a little bit of traction being SP2, at least on DK. FanDuel, I can't see him maybe on one pitcher sites him going for it, but I still think you're going to get him at way low ownership.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I actually like that a lot. As a matter of fact, Houston's bullpen has actually been bad over the last month or so. They've actually really struggled, which is strange because they have a really strong bullpen, but they've really been struggling. So I kind of like that idea, and I think Framber Valdez, because people are still going to continue to say, no, it's the Pirates, they're terrible against lefties. I'm going with Valdez. And that's kind of interesting, man. I think that's a really good call. That was worth slipping in after the plug. That was worth it. I'll give you that. But that's going to do it for the slate breakdown. Top Cash Game Core, top threes, Dong Watch. Let's go. Cash Game Core. So the pitching, I think we said Corbin and Gowan, right?
Yeah, let's just do Corbin and Gallen on both sides. And if you wanted to go to Boyd, I wouldn't mind it, or even minor too, depending on how your lineup goes. It's just how you feel. But right now, Corbin is the safest option.
That. Minor, I barely even know her. I know that makes no sense, but I don't know why I had this like thought of you doing that, and like I realized that it wasn't. It was Pfister, and then it was even his cousin Josh Naylor. That was a good one. That went unnoticed. I noticed.
Well, I mean, you could be like minor. She told me she was 18.
Oh no, I do not like that one. That one I do not like at all. No. Oh. That's dark. I think you just made Mike Minor my like least favorite, like my most hated pitcher now. I think you just did that, bro. Like I really do. It's like, whoa. But I see what you're doing though. You are creative, I gotta say, because that did not cross my mind once, and that was creative, Joe. So who is the stud we want in cash games?
I actually, to me, honestly, I think Scott Kingery is the guy I want tomorrow.
Kingery, okay.
Leading off. Like, that's the guy right off the bat that comes. On FanDuel, he's only 3,400. I don't know what his price is on
He's
DK.
49, so he's up there, but I said stud.
He's worth the stud price then.
He's worth the stud price over here.
And I feel like out of all the guys, I kind of want him tomorrow.
I can dig it.
Especially if he's leading off.
What about value? The value play. You see anybody that stands out?
Value play, I would probably go. Man, I wish I'd go Almora if he was leading off, but they don't think he's going to lead off. Let's go with Kevin Newman.
Okay, I'm with it. On DraftKings. I'll go with Robbie Cano, who's been getting a lot of shit for sucking lately from the media, and has actually had a decent game today. So I'll go with him against Pivetta in Philly. 3K, batting third. Let's go. Sandwiched in between Peter Alonso and Michael Conforto. Pretty good place to be in a lineup. Top three pitchers.
Top three pitchers tomorrow. Matt Boyd, Mike Minor, and Odorizzi.
I'm going to go with Zach Gallen, Matt Boyd, and Patrick Corbin. Top three stacks.
Number one stack tomorrow is going to be the Phillies. Number two for me is going to be the Braves. And number three is going to be the Pirates.
I'm gonna go with. I'm not gonna say the Phillies. Like they're obviously the optimal offense right now, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna try to go around them, as far as 5-mans go. So I'm gonna go with the Mets. I will go with the Cubs, and I will go with Atlanta. That's what I will do. Boom. Around it. Dong Watch, Joe, is going deep.
Tomorrow, who is going deep? Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, caught me off guard with that one. You definitely did. I was just like, wait, what?
I like to.
I will go with Chris Bryant.
All right. And now I'm going to go with my boy Scott Kingery.
I will go with Pete Alonso.
You see, I'm going to go with the guy hitting right above him, Jeff McNeil.
I'm with that. I'm with that, and I like.
It's a little low. That's a little bit off the pace.
He's been a beast. He almost hit a home run today. They said fan interference, called it a double. He almost tied the game up with a 2-run homer today. I'm totally with that. I think Philly's like the perfect matchup for him too, because of how bad the bullpen is. I'll go with Conforto. Dropping Sam's on him one way or another.
I like the Mets tomorrow too. They'd probably be my number 4 stack. It's funny. It's like smaller slates like this. I like it because you can kind of. It's definitely you can find more of like.
It's like
edge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, when you know the field is going to one place and it's not so spread out, you at least know what you're dealing with. You either go real heavy on the chalk and just go overweight, or just fade it. and hope that it busts. So, but like at least like you're saying, at least you can identify that spot. Like on 15 game slates like today, you really can't. Like you think this team's gonna be chalky, but then this team's kind of popular too. And what is chalk anyway? Like 10% because there's 15 games, with stacks.
And I'd say so far this week, the chalk has busted.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what. Like the Yankees went off yesterday, but not today. You had to have had the right home runs for the Yankees to go off today.
I mean,
if you get the right 4 players right, you didn't. The Yankees did bad. Yes, it wasn't yesterday they did all right though. Yesterday, Monday they did pretty good, right?
Yeah, they did well Monday.
Monday
like
they
the thing, like as a stack, they really weren't that popular. Like it was really just like Judge and Stanton who were popular on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I'm sure there were more, but the Yankees that we like today happened to work out. Like I was really high on E5. The only one that disappointed me was Gary Sanchez, but Judge, E5, LeMahieu, Glaber, those were the Yankees I was the highest on. So for me, it worked out. I did have a Stanton team, and that sucked that he left the game with an injury, and then Gary the Goat sucked the fat one on me, but. And the Yankees Padres, man, and I did drop Joe. Remember I said I was going like 24 at the time. I dropped to 1,700 because of the Mad Bump getting the win. So that's still kicking the nuts. But at 1,700, I won 13 the other day, 8 the other day, 3,500 before that. So it's been really good. It's been a really good run. So I'll take it. I'm not gonna complain too much, but that's a kick in the nuts though, man. 24 to 17. Woo, man.
I know. It's like a couple lap dances for me.
Man. Tell me about it. Wild. I'll give you a lap dance for that, bro. I mean, just saying, man. Just be careful, bro. That's all.
Another thing is, like the Braves Atlanta game, the Braves Cubs game last 2 days. That's been yesterday was like the chalk ball chalk.
Yeah, it's been the chalk and it's been busting, and that's why I think tomorrow when nobody plays it, it will go off. Like it's just perfect game theory. Like that's DFS in a nutshell. But that is going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and a share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow, give us a retweet. If you're listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. Joey, it's a bit of pleasure as always. Looking forward to doing this again with you tomorrow night. Anything in closing before we get up out of here?
Not much, man. It's a 9-game slate tomorrow. Let's have fun. It's hump day. It's drop 7s on them. And I will have for you members. I will have the Stevie Brown BVP play of the day.
Awesome.
Don't worry.
Awesome. Beautiful. For Patio Joe, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.